All right, welcome to another episode of the Ask Swenk Show. This is Ask Swenk 46. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about really kind of transitioning from a freelancer to actually starting an agency and what you need to be doing and the systems that you need to have. And if you're a bad salesperson, what do you need to do? So someone reached out to me and had a lot of questions. And so I kind of drilled it down to the 3 key questions on this episode, and we're going to chat about that today. And thank you very much, Julien, for your questions.
I'm Jason Swenk, and I'm answering your questions. And this is Ask Swenk.
Now, before we jump in, I want to tell you about this really cool technology that I've been using, and it's called Qualla. And it's very hard to spell, so if you go to jasonswenk.com/proposal software, it will actually take you to the special link for them. But it's amazing proposal software where it really allows you to create these stunning proposals that you can actually send electronically out that are web pages that your prospects can engage with, can sign, can even pay right there. It's really pretty cool technology that you need to check out. And if you actually go in there and you actually put in Smart Agency, you'll get the free trial, and your first 3 months you'll get 50% off, which is a pretty cool deal. So make sure you go to jasonswenk.com/proposal software, okay? And check out Qualla right now. So let's get into the first question. First question is obviously from Julien. And it says, my questions are, right now I'm doing everything: lead generation, sales, project management, design, front end, dev, back end, dev. Sounds familiar. I used to do all the same. How big should I get before I start hiring? And what are the first steps I need to take to replace myself? So the biggest thing is to really kind of understand, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you like doing? And literally make a list. And this applies to anybody, right? Really, anybody that's trying to even scale, because so many times as an agency owner, not an agency CEO, you're doing everything, right? And I'm surprised you didn't put in washing the dishes, cleaning the toilet, all that kind of stuff. But you really need to make a list and figure out what you really want to be doing and what you're really good at. And then make a list of the things that you're really bad at that are key in order to growing and taking your agency to wherever you're trying to go, and hiring for those. So in your next question, and I guess we'll kind of jump into that as well, you kind of alluded you're not very good at sales. So maybe your first hire needs to be in sales. Or, I was really bad at project management, right? I was not a good at attention to detail, right? I liked creating and setting things up. So my first hire, if I could do it over again, should have been a project manager. And I almost think almost all of you, your first hire should be a project manager. Now, a lot of you think, well, why not an actual person actually doing the work? So what I would do is I would actually outsource all the design, all the development work, and hand off all the project management to the project manager. So I don't need to be dealing with the client directly on a day-to-day basis, because what will happen and what you'll see, and this is probably what a lot of you guys see in your agency or if you're freelancing, a client's going to call, have everything emergency meeting, right? Everything's emergency. And then it's going to screw up all the other timelines of what you need to do in order to scale your agency or grow and all that kind of good stuff, right? But if you have a project manager, they can actually save you from doing all that. So project manager, it would be the first. Now that you're doing everything, what I would actually start doing is actually documenting everything. Whenever I would think about, all right, I'm doing all this stuff right now, and I don't want to do it ever again, I would literally record my screen and I would pretend I was training someone. And then I would take each of those different things that I would do and I would put it in a folder or wiki or whatever, and I would basically have training materials for the people coming in. And so I would do this ahead of time before I actually hired someone. So beforehand I could say, hey, this is what you're actually going to be doing. Does this fit what you enjoy and what you love? And then they can get up to speed, and then you don't really have to train them outside of or within the things that you already sent them. Does it make sense? All right, got it? The other thing is you want to make sure you're charging enough. So many of us are not charging enough, so hiring someone is a pretty big stretch, and you should try to get to hiring someone immediately. I mean, really, really quick, because that's the only way to grow, or you're just going to be a freelancer. And if you just want to be a freelancer, perfectly fine. But to the people listening, but to this particular question, you want to transition to an agency. Agency has employees. Agency has it where the owner is not doing everything. And so if you need to take a loan out in order to hire someone, do that. That's what I would do. I mean, try to get to a point to charge enough, even if you're just breaking even on the first project, when you actually hire the project manager, do that. So then basically that client's paying for that project manager, and then everything else on top of that is gravy. All right. So next question. As a primarily developer, I don't have much experience in sales or lead generation. Do I need to attain some kind of competency in these fields before taking this big plunge, or should I take it till I make it? You're not selling, okay? So everybody says they're a bad salesperson other than salespeople. The deal is try to help. I mean, the reason why you're creating an agency is you know how to do something really well. And I think what you told me, it was around Shopify, right? So just help people. And then just tell them what they need. And if they say, yeah, I'd like your help on that, then that's be like, cool, sign here. And make sure you have a contract for that. So at the end of the day, you're helping, not selling. Now, if you don't like people, that's a totally different story. And if you don't like people, then you might need to bring in an experienced person that can actually present your services and actually help. You don't want to bring in someone that makes 1,000 calls. That's the biggest misconception when hiring a salespeople. You really want to bring in someone that has expertise in what you're offering, so they can offer and be kind of that challenger sale, where they can actually present to them and say, you know, based on everything that you told me, this is what you need. And these are the results that you can get based on the answers that you told me from the questions of how much a lead is worth, or how much a conversion, the conversion rate and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully I answered that question. So if you don't like people, hire a salesperson. But if you like people, and you can actually help someone, just help them rather than sell. You don't have to know all the closing techniques. I mean, you told me you went in a deep dive and went through all my stuff. So just keep going through my stuff and figuring out the different sales techniques. One of the resources, make sure you guys go to jasonswenk.com/proposal. And I think that would help you out. Hopefully you saw that, but it literally walks you through the 8 steps that I would use when creating a proposal and trying to convert that proposal to a paying client. I think that would help you out. So go to that, jasonswenk.com/proposal. Last question. We talk a lot about setting up the right systems in place. And while it's fascinating to hear you talk about the roles of the CEO, salespeople, account manager, creative department, and developers, I'm uncertain of what kind of systems I need to have in place right now as I'm getting started, and how far ahead should I be looking? There's 12 systems. That's kind of why I created the agency playbook, and I'll walk you through some of them. The first 2 are the most important, and this is what a lot of people actually skip. The first one is clarity, figuring out where do you want to go in the agency and what do I not want to do. So many of us know how to do something cool, and someone offers us money, but then we don't really have that direction of where do we want to take the agency. Do we want to build it up and sell it one day? Do we want to have a lifestyle agency? Do we want to use it as an incubator? Whatever it is, we need to know where we need to go in the long run. And then what we can do is start kind of slicing up those long-term goals into more short-term, both from the year to 90 days, down to the week, down to the day. So then you know exactly what to say no. And then when you have clarity and you actually start hiring people, you can actually go to the employees and share that with them. So now they can make decisions based on where the agency needs to go, okay? Then the next system is specializing. So you're specializing in Shopify. That's great. But if you can kind of drill down even further, then you can actually start eliminating a lot of your competition and starting to move up in the industry leader. And then you can actually understand all the challenges people have around Shopify or this particular e-commerce solution, all of that, and put out useful content. Because once you have these two systems, then the other systems of like attacking, right, which is your outbound, which you should have an outbound strategy, eventually, right? Of, what's my outreach? Am I just going to depend on referrals? Referrals aren't scalable. So, and yes, referrals are great. That means you're doing a good job and you have a good reputation, but you just don't control them. Outbound you can control. Same thing with inbound, right? That's the next system, like attracting, right? You should have a system for creating your blog content, driving traffic to your website, building that awareness, capturing information from the visitors. Then it moves into a system like for nurturing, right? What are the email sequences? How do I do this milestone marketing, moving them forward? Then after you're nurturing them and they start building trust and authority, then it's all about getting on the phone with them, converting, and going through the proposal stage, going through those steps, right? I gave you, the jasonswenk.com/proposal for that free video to walk you through those steps. There's a lot of other things, right, that you need to think about. Then after converting, right, and you're chatting to them about the proposal, it's all about how do you deliver, and having that deliver system where you're onboarding the clients in the right way, that you're have a set process for delivering the creative or the dev to them. You have a set process for approvals, right, and all of that in the delivery. Then there's a system for profit, making sure you're avoiding the profit leaks, within the agency, which could be undercharging, over-delivering, could be, not having an approval process in place where people are just killing you for scope creep and you're just saying yes to everything rather than pushing back and doing that. There's a system for strategic partnerships, right? Now that you have that specialization, who else in the market is going after them that's not your competition that could be a good strategic partner? Then it could come down to the operations, right? Both of like, increasing your cash flow, hiring, the org structure. And then the last system is really leadership, leading that team where you're becoming an agency CEO versus agency owner, where your role is to coach and mentor the people directly under you, one level deep, set the vision and direction of the agency, understand the KPIs and the metrics and the financials, right? And, assist in sales, not do all the sales, right? And so those are the systems in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot more. If you want to know more about that, go to jasonswenk.com/playbook. And I walk you through these 12 systems in detail. And that's really probably the thing I would recommend to you of like starting an agency, or even if you've reached a certain plateau in your agency and you're like, man, what do I need to do? Because a lot of us get into the agency world and we've never done it before. I mean, I remember getting into the agency world and I didn't even know what an invoice was. I had to figure it out. And so that's why I've created the playbook for that. So hopefully I've kind of instilled kind of the systems, like the 12 systems that you need, and then you just kind of build them accordingly, regardless if you get into the playbook or not. Now, what I would tell you is write down all the 12 systems and then rank yourself on a scale 1 to 10. And the ones that are the weakest, start there first and totally commit to making that better in whatever resources out there to do that, and then start building on the next weakest and go from there. But it starts with identifying the systems and identifying what you're good at and what you're bad at, and then trying to make a change. Cool? All right, so go there now. I want you to join the conversation. Make sure you comment and subscribe.
Thanks for giving me your most valuable asset, your time.